Headway 5th edition, Advanced Students Book. Class audio by Liz and John Soares and Paul Hancock. Published and copyright Oxford University Press 2019. CD2. 5.1. Which sign is it? 1.
Goodness, did you see that sign? What on earth does it mean?
No idea. Do you think there's a river at the bottom of this hill?
Yeah, a river full of crocodiles.
Yes, but it seems they only eat people in wheelchairs.
Weird. Well, we'll see.
2.
You're holding everyone up.
Look, I'm new to this. I can't see how to...
Read the sign.
I can't make sense of it. How can I hold my poles and do that at the same time? It's not possible.
Well, everyone else can manage it.
Yeah. Ow! Ow! Oh, I give up. I'm going up on the cable car.
Good idea. You do that.
3.
Ow! Careful! It's a built-up area. You're going too fast.
I am not.
You are. We've just gone over another one. I nearly hit my head on the roof. Take them more slowly.
I am.
You're not. Oh. Oh. Thank goodness for that. We're on the open road again.
Why don't you just...
4.
Hey, slow down. I want to look out for ostriches.
Huh? Ostriches? You won't see any here.
Well, that sign said we might.
No, it didn't. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't an ostrich.
Well, it looked like one to me.
5.
Ugh, look at these traffic queues.
Lines. Remember, we're in the States.
Okay. I told you it wasn't a good idea to set out in the rush hour.
Don't I told you so me. Just tell me which line to join.
Not that one. We're paying cash.
Why not?
I think it's a drive-through lane. Try that one over there.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. This is the right...
6.
Why would that be banned?
Well, obviously it's bad for you.
But it's just a nut.
Not just any nut. I believe it's addictive and carcinogenic, and it makes your teeth red.
Ugh.
Didn't you see that guy in that cafe we stopped at? His whole mouth was red.
Yeah, I saw that, but I thought he must have bleeding gums and just needed a trip to the dentist.
5.2. Facts about Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea is located in the southwest Pacific Ocean, just north of Australia. Its population currently stands at approximately 7.5 million. This is made up of over 700 different tribes. Many of these are in the isolated mountainous interior, or the rainforest, and therefore have little contact with one another, let alone with the outside world. This is one of the reasons why Papua New Guinea is linguistically the world's most diverse country, with over 800 languages spoken, 12% of the world's total. 82% of its people live in rural areas with few or no facilities or influences of modern life. Cannibalism and headhunting were widely practiced until as recently as the 1950s, and polygamy is still part of the culture. It is still possible to buy a wife with seashells or pigs. Papua New Guinea has strong ties with its southern neighbour, Australia, which administered the territory until independence in 1975. The government is led by an elected Prime Minister in the National Parliament, but as the country is a member of the Commonwealth of Nations, Queen Elizabeth II is its head of state.
5.3. Missing words out. 1.
I tried to repair my car, but I couldn't. It needs a mechanic.
2.
You look awful. Why don't you see a doctor?
Oh, I did. He just gave me some pills and told me to take things easy.
3.
Have you read this report?
No, I haven't, but I will.
4.
My car's being serviced at the moment. If it wasn't, I'd give you a lift. Sorry.
5.
I'm so glad you told Sue exactly what you thought of her, because if you hadn't, I certainly would have.
6.
I think I'll give Rob a ring.
You should. You haven't been in touch with him for ages.
7.
I went to a party last night, but I wish I hadn't. It was awful.
8.
My boyfriend insists on doing all the cooking, but I wish he wouldn't. It's inedible.
9.
Aren't you going to Portugal for your holidays?
Well, we might, but we're still not sure.
10.
Andy got drunk at Anne's party and started insulting everyone.
He didn't. That's so typical of him.
5.4. Auxiliary verbs. 1.
You met my sister last night.
Yes, I did. She thought we'd met before, but we hadn't.
2.
It's a long journey. Take care on the motorway.
Don't worry. We will.
3.
Come on, John. It's time you were getting up.
Stop yelling at me! I am!
4.
The weather forecast said that it might rain this afternoon.
Well, we'll have to call off the tennis if it does.
5.
Did you get that job you applied for?
Yes, I did. And I really didn't think I would.
5.5. Reduced infinitives. 1.
Can you come round for a meal tonight?
Thanks very much. I'd love to.
2.
Did you post my letter?
Oh, I'm really sorry. I forgot to.
3.
I can't take you to the airport after all. Sorry.
But you agreed to.
4.
Was John surprised when he won?
He certainly was. He didn't expect to.
5.
Why did you slam the door in my face?
It was an accident. I really didn't mean to.
6.
You'll be able to enjoy yourself when the exams finish.
Don't worry, I intend to.
5.6. Finding things in common. Things in common.
Mark's been to America and so have I. He likes travelling, and I do too. He doesn't speak Russian, and neither do I. He isn't married, and nor am I. He can't drive, and I can't either.
Things different.
He's tried windsurfing, but I haven't. He comes from a big family, but I don't. He didn't see the football match, but I did. He hasn't been to Australia. I have, though.
5.7. BBC Radio 4. Don't log off. Part 1.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, is this Brian?
Yes, this is Brian.
Hi, how are you? I first spoke with Brian 18 months ago.
I dedicate my lunch hour normally to chat with my girlfriend Anna that I met online. I was just browsing profiles in Russia, and I stumbled across the most beautiful woman in the world.
But this was more than just a typical online romance. Do you speak Russian?
No, I'm learning to speak Russian.
And does Anna speak English?
No, not yet. She's trying to learn English too. So I began to chat with her using Google Translator.
That's how the relationship continued. Brian and Anna relying on online translation to communicate. Say that you were both lost in translation, but in fact you found each other through translation. This was the first of numerous conversations with Brian.
Hello?
Hello, Brian. The next time, he'd been to visit Anna in Russia.
It's something, let me tell you. It took me over 24 hours just to get there.
Did you feel that it all was exactly how you thought it would be in your mind?
Oh, yes. The physical, spiritual, mental connection, everything was there.
6 months later, hello,
Alan.
Brian had some big news for me.
We just decided we were going to get married, and
Anna and her 2 children will be leaving Russia and moving to America. And the amazing thing is, this whole relationship is still relying on online translation. Neither Brian nor Anna speak each other's languages.
She's left the only home she's ever known all her life, basically.
Anna and her children were on their way.
She's coming to a country where she's never been. She's never even been on an airplane before.
I spoke with Brian at the airport on the night of their arrival.
She should be here any minute, but it had to have landed.
They were all going to come over on a 3-month visa.
There's some people coming up the escalator here.
Anna has to get married to Brian within those 3 months. Otherwise, Anna and the children have to return to Russia.
And I still don't see... You guys coming from New York? No. Here she is! There she is! I missed her! Oh! I missed you too! Oh! She's here!
Brian, this is a very special moment.
Yes. Okay, well, she just told me to get off the phone. So, Al?
Well, Brian, may I wish you good luck, and I look forward to catching up with you shortly.
Okay. You can call me in the next few days, probably.
And it was then that I had an idea. I was thinking it would be a wonderful experience to visit you and Anna in Boise, Idaho.
Oh, wow.
To see you in person and to kind of capture your life with Anna now.
That would be interesting, yes.
But you never know, that might fit in to your wedding plans.
Yes, I think it would definitely take it up to the next level.
Brian set the wedding date for the 21st of September, and I booked the plane tickets so I could be there. But then, I received a rather worrying message. So this is really big news.
.8 BBC Radio 4 Don't Log Off, Part 2.
So this is really big news. The wedding that was planned for Saturday the 21st of September is now off.
Hello.
Brian, I got your message. It's big news.
It's a little bit difficult, but
yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we haven't made a lot of arrangements.
Tell me how you both made the decision to postpone the wedding.
I think the 21st was just a little bit too soon for her. She's been through a lot. She came halfway around the world. She's only been here just about a month and a half now. Just a little shy of a month and a half. And I think maybe perhaps things may not be as nice as she'd imagined, you know.
What is the cutoff point, Brian?
October 20th, I think, would probably be the 90-day cutoff.
The clock is ticking, isn't it, Brian?
Yes. And I hope that she doesn't have second thoughts.
But wedding or no wedding, the plane tickets have been bought. Boarding the plane, I had no idea quite how this story would unfold.
The aisleways by your feet will need to be cleared for our takeoff here out of London.
15 hours later.
And here I am, breathing Idaho air. Hi Anna, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
It soon becomes clear to me that it's not been easy for Anna in these first few months in the US.
Right now, she really hasn't been anywhere by herself. She's always had me with her.
So when you're at work?
When I'm at work, she pretty much stays at home.
Can you understand that?
I can understand. She has been through a big change, and I don't want to add any stress to her life.
5.9 BBC Radio 4 Don't Log Off, Part 3.
What have you got in that bag, Brian?
This is our wedding rings.
Brian and Anna are getting married. They've decided to go ahead with the wedding. But it's not quite the big day that Brian had originally planned.
We've got less than an hour to be in the courthouse.
Okay.
It's going to be a very low-key affair. In the courthouse. It's all very casual. Both Anna and Brian are wearing jeans. It's an empty courtroom. The only people present at the wedding are Brian and Anna, Anna's 8-year-old son Ivan, myself, my producer, and the interpreter.
I promise
I promise
to be true to you
to be true to you
in good times
and good times
and in bad.
and in bad.
And then Brian had a surprise for us.
Alan Dean.
Both myself and my producer Lawrence were called upon to be official witnesses at the wedding.
And here? Yep.
I can't quite believe that from a random Skype conversation almost 2 years ago
Sign there.
that I'm now in Boise, Idaho, signing Brian and Anna's wedding certificate.
There's my signature.
You're all set. You have witnessed.
I've witnessed the wedding of Brian and Anna.
There's a copy of your vow.
A wedding that would never have taken place without the advent of online translation.
5.10 Living Abroad. Pete.
I'm from Oxford, and a few years ago I went to work in Prague, and on my very first day there I set off to walk to work, and I came to this butcher's shop, and I casually glanced at the special offers board on the pavement outside. I couldn't believe my eyes. It read, "Zebra, 65 crowns per kilogram." For me, this was a big cultural difference. I'm no vegetarian and I'll eat almost any meat. I've no problem with veal or rabbit, but I do draw the line at endangered species. So I checked the board again, and it really did say zebra. I felt sick. I worried about it all the way to work. I'd always thought the Czechs were a civilized nation, and I wasn't sure what perturbed me the most, the idea of eating zebra or the fact that it was so cheap. 65 crowns was about £1.25. That's a kilo of zebra meat for less than a copy of a Sunday newspaper. Anyway, I got to my work and I introduced myself to the pretty young Czech receptionist. And I just had to find out if Czechs really did eat zebra. So I said, "What's Czech for zebra?" "Zebra," she said. "Why?" Oh dear. I was horrified. So I asked, "And it's a Czech delicacy?" "No," she said. "Of course not. Why?" Well, outside the butcher's, it said zebra, 65 crowns per kilogram. She started laughing, and finally she said, "Did the Z have a hat check?" "A what?" I said. "A little hook, like this, above the Z." And she drew it for me. You see, zebra is Czech for zebra, but zebra, with a hat check above the Z, means ribs. And she pointed at her midriff to show me. I felt really foolish, but very relieved. The Czechs really are a civilised bunch after all. So much so that I'm still here 8 years later, and I'm married to Lenka. She's the pretty young receptionist.
Sarah.
I'm half Korean and half British, so I have a kind of dual identity. I was born in Seoul, in South Korea, but I've lived in England for years, and now I find whenever I go back to Korea, I'm faced with some unique cultural differences. I suppose I look about 80% Korean and 20% British, and Korean people are often a bit puzzled as to why I look slightly different from them. And one day, the funniest thing happened in this respect. I was in a department store in Seoul, just browsing through some clothes, and this woman came up to me, and she grabbed me by the arm and said, "Oh, please tell me, where did you get your nose done?" And I just looked at her and said, "What? What do you mean?" And I tapped my nose and felt very self-conscious. Then it struck me because actually in Korea, plastic surgery is quite a routine procedure. It's very common. There are plastic surgeons on every street corner, so this lady just assumed because my nose is a bit larger than usual, that I must have had plastic surgery done. I just said to her, "Oh, no, sorry. Actually, my father gave me this nose. He's British."
Marie.
I find it's not at all exotic to be French here in London, but being English in Paris is still quite exotic, I think. And what are some of the cultural differences I found living here? Well, quite a few. The usual food differences. There's not a baker on every corner, and okay, I like crisps, but in the supermarkets there are aisles of them in every flavour imaginable. Prawn, vinegar, chicken, chili, on and on. Who needs them all? Oh, and the English obsession with house prices. Yes, they have endless conversations about the prices of houses. Everyone wants to own a house, and what's weird to me is the ways that they quantify the size of a house by giving the number of bedrooms and bathrooms, not its actual size in square feet or meters. Oh, and something else. I find it odd to leave a doctor's surgery without a prescription as long as your arm, or with nothing at all. That was a first for me.
Ethan.
I'm Australian, and about 6 years ago I spent 2 years living and working in Burma. Every day I'd catch a taxi to my work. Anyway, one day, not long after I arrived there, I got into this taxi, a beautiful, clean, shiny taxi. I sat down and I put my feet, well, it was difficult to find anywhere to put my feet, but I didn't look down, and the taxi started moving, luckily quite slowly. Suddenly I found my feet because they'd started sort of running. It was the weirdest feeling. I looked down and my feet were actually on the road, and they had to run to keep up with the taxi. I looked again and saw a huge rusted hole in the floor of the taxi. My feet had gone straight through it. Quick as a flash, I pulled them back inside and positioned them firmly either side of the hole, but after that I noticed that a lot of the taxis had problems. They were really ancient cars, but their owners were really proud of them and kept them in beautiful condition where they could. But some things like doors or floors they couldn't replace. I couldn't imagine taxis like these being allowed in Sydney. There didn't seem to be any health and safety regulations in Burma, but the taxis did their job just fine. Maybe it's different now.
5.11 Comparing differences. Conversation A.
Who's the package for?
Nancy. It's her birthday on the weekend.
Yeah, I know. What did you get her?
A beautiful brown leather purse.
Awesome! She'll love it. I got her a gorgeous cashmere sweater.
She's a lucky girl. I want to mail it to her. Do you have her address?
I do, but I don't have the zip code.
Conversation B.
Who's the parcel for?
Nancy. It's her birthday at the weekend.
Yeah, I know. What have you got her?
A beautiful brown leather handbag.
Fabulous. She'll love it. I've got her a lovely cashmere jumper.
She's a lucky girl. I want to post it to her. Have you got her address?
I have, but I haven't got the postcode.
5.12 American English. 1.
Do you have the time?
Yeah, it's 5 after 4.
Did you say 5 till?
No, 5 after 4.
2.
What are you going to do on the weekend?
The usual stuff. Play soccer with my kids and rake the yard.
3.
Did you have a good vacation?
Yeah, real good.
How long were you away?
5 days in all. Monday through Friday.
4.
Where do you live?
We have a small apartment on the first floor of an apartment building downtown.
Do you have a yard?
No, we don't. Just a parking lot around the back.
5.
Did you see Meryl Streep's new movie yet?
Sure thing. She was awesome in it. She played this homely old woman who drifted around in her bathrobe all day.
Yeah, she's a great actor.
6.
Did they bring the check yet?
Yeah, they just did. But I can't read a thing. It's so badly lit in here. You need a flashlight.
7.
Do we need to stop for gas?
Sure do. Anyways, I need to use the bathroom.
8.
Did you enjoy the game?
Yeah, it was great. But we had to stand in line for half an hour to get tickets.
5.13 British English. 1.
Have you got the time?
Yeah, it's 4:05.
Did you say 5:02?
No, 4:05.
2.
What are you going to do at the weekend?
Oh, you know, the usual. Play football with my kids and do a bit of gardening.
3.
Did you have a good holiday?
Yeah, really good.
How long were you away?
5 days altogether, from Monday to Friday.
4.
Where do you live?
We've got a small flat on the ground floor of a block of flats in the city centre.
Have you got a garden?
No, we haven't. Just a car park at the rear.
5.
Have you seen Meryl Streep's new film yet?
I have. She was terrific in it. She played this plain old woman who drifted around in a dressing gown all day.
Yeah, she's a great actor.
6.
Have they brought the bill yet?
Yeah, they just have. But I can't read a thing. The lighting is so bad in here. You need a torch.
7.
Do we need to stop for petrol?
Yeah, why not? Anyway, I need to go to the loo.
8.
Did you enjoy the match?
Yeah, it was great. But we had to queue for half an hour to get tickets.
6.1 Famous war quotations. 1.
I came, I saw, I conquered. Was said by Julius Caesar, 100 BC to 44 BC. He was a Roman general who sent the famous message Veni Vidi Vici to the Roman Senate in 47 BC after a great military victory in Asia Minor, now known as Turkey.
2.
Happiness lies in conquering one's enemies, in driving them in front of oneself, in taking their property, in savouring their despair, in outraging their wives and daughters. This was said by Genghis Khan, 1162 to 1227. He was the emperor and founder of the Mongol Empire. After his death, this became the largest empire in history.
3.
You shall show no mercy. Life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. This is from the Old Testament in the Bible, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 19, verse 21.
4.
Resist not evil, but whosoever shall strike thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other. This is from the New Testament in the Bible, Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5, verse 38.
5.
War does not determine who is right, only who is left. Said by Bertrand Russell, 1872 to 1970. Russell was a British philosopher, mathematician, historian and pacifist. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1950.
6.
The tragedy of modern war is that the young men die fighting each other, instead of their real enemies back home in the capitals. Said by Edward Abbey, 1927 to 1989. Abbey was an American author, essayist and anarchist, noted for his advocacy of environmental issues.
7.
No one is born hating another person because of the colour of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. This was said by Nelson Mandela, 1918 to 2013. Mandela was a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary, politician and philanthropist. In 1962, he was arrested and sentenced to life imprisonment. He served over 27 years in prison. He was finally released in 1990 following an international campaign. He then served as President of South Africa from 1994 to 1999.
8.
I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Said by Albert Einstein, 1879 to 1955. He was a German-born physicist who developed the general theory of relativity. In 1921, he received the Nobel Prize in Physics.
9.
In war, truth is the first casualty. First said by Aeschylus, 525 BC to 456 BC. He was a Greek tragic dramatist. He is often described as the father of tragedy, being the first of the three ancient Greek tragedians whose plays are still read or performed, the others being Sophocles and Euripides.
10.
Mankind must put an end to war, before war puts an end to mankind. Said by John F. Kennedy, 1917 to 1963, the 35th President of the US. It was part of a speech to the United Nations General Assembly on the 25th of September 1961.
6.2. Structures which add emphasis. A.
I hate the waste of human life in war.
What I hate about war is the waste of human life.
The thing I hate about war is the waste of human life.
It's the waste of human life that I hate.
B.
War changes people's lives forever.
What war does is change people's lives forever.
The thing war does is change people's lives forever.
Something the war did was change people's lives forever.
6.3. How do they add emphasis? 1.
The thing I can't stand about Bruce is the way he's always so full of himself.
2.
It's his lack of self-awareness that amazes me.
3.
What you don't appreciate is how exhausting travelling is.
4.
Something that drives me mad is the number of security checks.
5.
The thing that upset me was the way the customs officer behaved.
6.
What I appreciated was the fact that all the nurses were so sympathetic.
7.
Something that really annoys me is the way you're always late.
8.
It's Peter who you should talk to.
6.4. Emphatic responses. 1.
What kind of holiday do you like?
One thing I like is touring historic sites.
2.
I like relaxing on a beach in the sun.
What I like doing is touring historic sites.
3.
You like adventure holidays, don't you?
No. Touring historic sites is what I like.
4.
You like going on cruises, don't you?
No, it's touring historic sites that I like.
5.
I know you hate touring holidays.
Well, actually, touring historic sites is something I like.
6.
You like cultural holidays, don't you?
Yes! There's nothing I like more than touring historic sites.
6.5. Structures which add emphasis. 2.
Never, in the field of human conflict, was so much owed by so many to so few.
Never have I seen such courage.
Rarely does one find such clear explanations.
Had it not been for the war, women would not have got the vote.
Finally, the war did end.
6.6. Listen and compare. 1.
Something I've never told you is that I'm actually a secret agent.
2.
What I can't stand about modern life is the number of choices you have to make.
3.
What always surprises me is the way we always seem to end up doing what you want to do.
4.
The thing that annoys me most is people who talk loudly into their mobiles in public places. Do they think it makes them look important?
5.
It's not me who wanted to come to this dump on holiday. Cheap it may be, but there's nothing to do.
6.
What the government should do is stop listening to focus groups and get on with governing.
7.
Oh, never in my life have I been so pleased to see someone. Do you have a key to the front door?
8.
What I did after class yesterday was just go home and chill. I was shattered.
6.7. Pronunciation. Using stress to emphasize. 1.
Peter hasn't told anybody.
He told me.
2.
I hope you didn't tell Clara.
I didn't tell anyone.
3.
I invited Anna, but she isn't coming.
I told you she wouldn't.
4.
Who told Tim about it?
I've no idea. I didn't tell anyone.
5.
John won't like it when you tell him.
If I tell him.
6.
It's the worst film I've ever seen.
Tell me about it.
7.
He dumped me. I told you he would.
8.
Have you heard the joke about the old man and his dog?
I told you it.
6.8. Oh, what a lovely war. Part 1.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, they're copping it down Railway Wood tonight.
No, not that. Listen. What is it? Singing, isn't it?
It's those Welsh bastards in the next trench.
That's Jerry, that is.
Yeah, it is Jerry. It's coming from over there.
Sing up, Jerry. Let's hear you. Oh, nice, wasn't it? Tommy! Hello, Tommy!
Hey! They heard us.
Hello? Hey?
Happy Christmas!
Oh! Happy Christmas!
Hey! Yeah, it's Christmas!
.9. The Christmas Truce. Part 2.
That scene from the West End musical of the 1960s, Oh, What a Lovely War, is a pretty accurate illustration of the kind of thing that happened in several places on the Western Front on that Christmas Eve of 1914. Listen to the account of someone who was actually there. Graham Williams, a rifleman with the London Rifle Brigade, was on sentry duty that night.
On the stroke of 11 o'clock, which by German time was midnight, because they were now ahead of us, lights began to appear all along the German trenches. And then people started singing. They started singing Heilige Nacht, Stille Nacht, Heilige Nacht, this Silent Night. So I thought, well, this is extraordinary. And I woke up all the other chaps, and all the other sentries must have done the same thing to come and see what was going on. And they sang this carol right through, and we responded with English Christmas carols, and they replied with German again. And we came to Come All Ye Faithful. They joined in singing that with us, and they're singing it in Latin, Adeste Fidelis.
So by the time you got to that carol, both sides were singing the same carol together?
Both singing the same carol together. Then after that, one of the Germans called out, "Come over and see us, Tommy, come over and see us." So I could speak German pretty fluently in those days. So I told back, I said, "No, you come over and see us." I said, "Nein, come and see Herr Fritz." And nobody did come that time, and eventually the lights all burnt out and quietened down and went on with the usual routine for the night. Next morning, I was asleep when I woke up. I found everyone was walking out into no man's land, meeting the Germans, talking to them, and a wonderful scene, couldn't believe it.
Further along the line, in the perfect weather, Private Harold Startin of the Old Contemptibles was enjoying that morning too. He couldn't speak any German, but that didn't stop him making friends.
We were Tommy to them, and they were all Fritz to us. If you'd met your brother, they couldn't have been more cordial towards you, or sharing their goodies with you. They were giving us cigars, not as big as your arm, and tobacco.
Were you frightened at first? Were you suspicious at all? Because these were people that you'd been trained to hate, weren't they?
No, there was no hatred. We'd got no grudge against them. They'd got no grudge against us. See, we were the best of pals. Although we were there to kill one another, there were no two ways about that at all. They helped us bury our dead, and we've buried our dead with their dead. I've seen many a cross with a German name and number on, and a British name and number on, in death not divided.
Did you do other work during the truce as well? Was it just burying the dead, or were there other things you
there
got
were
done?
strengthening the trenches. borrowing their tools.
You actually borrowed German tools
We
to
borrowed
strengthen your
German
trenches?
tools. They'll lend it you. They'd come and help you strengthen your defences against them.
6.10 How the Truce Ended. Part 3.
Not only was the truce more extensive than anyone has realised before, it also lasted much longer than has been believed until now. In some areas, the war started up again on New Year's Day, but in the part of the line where Harold Startin was, the truce lasted a lot longer than that.
Ours went on for 6 weeks. You can read in the history books about Sir John French when he heard of it, he were all against it, but our truce went on for 6 weeks. The Württemberg regiment, they got relieved before we did, and they told us they thought it was the Prussian Guards going to relieve them, and if it was, we should hear 3 rifle shots at intervals. And if we only heard 3 shots, we should know it was the Prussian Guards that were opposite us then, and we'd got to keep down.
Because they would be fiercer than the Württembergers?
Yes.
Can you remember particular Germans that you spoke to? Over 6 weeks, you must have made friends.
I spoke to one. Otto comes from Stuttgart, as has been over to England to see me.
So you made friends during the truce and kept in touch
We
after
made
the war?
friends during the truce and friends after.
Goodbye. Soldier's Song from the 1914 to 1918 War.
Goodbye, goodbye. Wipe the tear, baby dear, from your eye. Though it's hard to part, I know I'd be tickled to death to go. Don't cry, don't sigh. There's a silver lining in the sky. Bonsoir, au fin, cheerio, chin chin, au revoir, toodaloo, goodbye.
6.11 Expressions for agreeing and disagreeing. 1.
What colour do you call that?
It says pale sunlight on the tin.
Pale sunlight? It's more like dazzling daffodil. I can't wake up to that every morning. It'd give me a headache.
I suppose it is a bit, yellow. Oh dear. I just wanted a kind of sunny glow in our bedroom.
Don't worry. I'm sure we can find a happy medium. Let's get some of those little trial pots from the paint shop.
2.
We should have turned left there.
Look, who's driving this car? The sat-nav said right.
I know these streets better than any sat-nav.
You do not. The sat-nav is never wrong.
Huh. You don't believe that any more than I do.
Well, I am not turning round.
Okay. Have it your own way, but don't blame me if we're late.
3.
I haven't a clue who to vote for in the next election. They're all a load of...
But you've got to vote. We can't let the other lot in.
That's not how I see it. They're all as bad as each other.
I couldn't disagree more. Let the other lot in and taxes will rocket and prices will...
Come on, that happens with all of them. Let's just agree to disagree, shall we? You and I mustn't fall out over this.
4.
Put that thing down.
Huh?
You spend your life in front of a screen.
Hey, hang on a minute. Look who's talking. You never go anywhere without your iPad and iPhone.
Yeah, but I'm not always checking them. You've lost the art of conversation.
I have not. I really take offence at that.
Well, I've been telling you about my day and you haven't heard a word.
Huh? Sorry, what did you say?
6.12 Writing for Talking. Life in Tudor England.
Something that has always dismayed me when studying history is the concentration on wars and battles. So, what I'd like to talk to you about today is the lives of ordinary folk in England about 500 years ago. My interest in this period stems from childhood, when I used to spend holidays in my aunt's beautiful old farmhouse in Sussex. It was built in 1490, when the Tudors ruled the country, and I would lie in bed at night and imagine what life must have been like then. However, when I started researching the period, I soon shed any romantic notions I had of it. In case you're not sure of your history, the Tudors ruled England from 1485 to 1603. The most famous examples of Tudor monarchs being Henry VIII and Elizabeth I. Towns then, other than London, were very small and overcrowded. The streets were narrow, cobbled and filthy, and very unhealthy. Open sewers carried the filth to the nearest river. Rats and flies thrived, spreading diseases such as typhus and plague. Few people lived beyond the age of 40, and children often died before they were 5. Now, as you might imagine, it was a different story for the rich. They lived in mansions in the countryside, with anything up to 150 servants. Tudor houses are easily recognisable because of their numerous tall chimneys needed for their many fires. These not only kept the vast rooms warm, but they also cooked the food for their huge feasts that would often consist of up to 10 courses, and include such meats as wild boar, venison, roast tongue, and fowl such as peacocks, blackbirds, and sparrows. Now, 3/4 of the Tudor diet was made up of meat. Potatoes were not introduced until the reign of Elizabeth I. Honey was what was normally used to sweeten food. Sugar was rarely available and a sign of great wealth. However, the poor seldom got to eat meat or taste sugar. They lived mainly off vegetables, such as cabbage and turnips, with an occasional caught rabbit or fish. Now, as for education, poor children didn't attend school, but those from better-off families sometimes had tutors to teach reading and French. Boys were often sent to grammar schools, and here they would learn mainly Latin in classes of up to 60. The school day was a long one, from dawn to dusk. There were only 2 universities in Tudor England, Oxford and Cambridge, and some boys went to university at the age of 14. For entertainment, while the rich went hunting or enjoyed fencing or jousting contests, the poor watched bear fighting. And they also played a kind of football where they jumped on each other, a sport which frequently led to broken bones. But, of course, something which was enjoyed by people of all backgrounds was the theatre, especially the plays of a young playwright called William Shakespeare. There is so much more I could say about the Tudors. I find their day-to-day lives fascinating and much more interesting than the wars they fought. I hope that you have found it interesting too. If anyone has any questions, I'll be pleased to try and answer them.
7.1 Words from the text. 1.
I'm so fed up with living in this town. It's so boring. There's just nothing interesting to do here. And I wish we hadn't bought this house. It's gloomy.
2.
Look, it really is time you cleaned your room. When are you going to do it? If I've asked you once, I've asked you 1,000 times.
3.
I was really upset when I didn't pass the university entrance exam, but I feel okay about it now. I guess it's not the end of the world.
4.
I think it was appalling the way Selina behaved. I'm not interested in her excuses. She should be ashamed of herself.
5.
OK, you've made your point. Maybe I did behave badly this evening.
6.
I'm not very good at explaining things to people. I'm impatient, and I get very frustrated if they don't understand straight away.
7.
Everyone's saying how wonderful your presentation was. Derek says you're one of the best presenters he's ever seen.
8.
Oh, I still don't know whether to take that job. I've hardly slept all night thinking about what to do. Do you really think I should take it?
7.2. Mixed conditionals. 1.
I'd give Dave a lift again tomorrow if he hadn't made fun of my car this morning.
2.
If you hadn't been sitting in that cafe when I walked in, we wouldn't be living together now.
3.
If Carl had been born a week earlier, he'd be starting school next week.
4.
We'd buy that house right now if the previous owner hadn't painted it pink.
5.
If I didn't have bad eyesight, I would have trained as a pilot after I left college.
6.
I would have posted Jilly's birthday present yesterday if I wasn't going to visit her next week.
7.3. I wish we hadn't come here.
Oh, this hotel is horrible. I wish we hadn't come here. I've never seen such a dirty place in my life. It wouldn't be so bad if the bathroom was clean, but it's filthy. I wouldn't even wash my socks in it.
I know, but we've been driving for hours and I wanted to stop. If we hadn't, there mightn't have been another hotel for miles, and we'd still be driving.
I wish we'd set off earlier so we could have got to Cornwall today. We won't get there till tomorrow lunchtime now. I told you we'd need to leave in the morning, but you wouldn't listen.
I had to finish some important work this morning. If I hadn't, we could have left earlier. Then we'd be sitting in a nice hotel on the coast, instead of this dump in the middle of nowhere.
Anyway, it's time we had something to eat. If it wasn't so late, I'd suggest looking for a pub that does food, but I guess we'll have to eat here. Oh, I wish we didn't. It'll be awful, I'm sure.
Oh, I wish you'd stop moaning.
OK, I'm sorry. I guess we're both tired. Come on, let's start enjoying the weekend.
7.4. Expressions with if. 1.
There isn't very much, if any, chicken in this sandwich. It's all salad.
I know. Mine's the same. I'd have ordered the vegetarian option if I didn't want meat.
2.
We rarely, if ever, watch reality TV shows.
We don't either. I find I get enough reality in everyday life.
3.
He's a born loser if ever I saw one.
Oh, that's a dreadful thing to say. He's just going through a difficult period in life.
4.
You should find my house easily. If not, give me a ring and I'll give you directions.
It's OK. I never find things easily myself, but my sat-nav usually does the job.
5.
Joe seemed interested in the idea, if not exactly enthusiastic.
Oh, I think she's very keen. She just doesn't show her feelings very much.
6.
See if that dress fits you. If so, you should definitely buy it.
You know, I think I might just do that. It's time I had some new clothes.
7.
Creepy Colin asked me for a date. As if. Oh, come on. He's not that bad. I'd fancy him if he dressed a bit smarter.
7.5. The History of the Smile. Part 1.
The historian and author, Kate Williams, goes in search now of the modern, winning smile.
W.C. Field's advice might have been to start the day with a smile and get it over with, but the power of the smile should not be underestimated. The broad and confident smile is at the heart of our communication and central to how we interact with people in today's society. However, this hasn't always been the case. As Colin Jones, Professor of History at Queen Mary, University of London, explains.
Since the Renaissance, there's been a tremendous emphasis on forms of politeness and civility which emphasise control. All that sort of conduct literature emphasises closure of the mouth. Of course, one smiles at all sorts of circumstances. The crucial thing is to control that smile and to keep the lips firmly shut so that the mouth is closed and the teeth are undisplayed.
Just because they were restrained doesn't mean they didn't have a good time. As a historian, I'm fascinated by how images of our ancestors as straight-faced and serious makes us think that they were dour. From Elizabeth I to Queen Victoria, it is almost as if we think those before us never smiled. Art critic Laura Cumming, author of A Face to the World, has examined smiles in portraiture from across the centuries.
Most smiles that I can think of in portraiture are closed-lipped. It seems to me that that's quite significant. Clearly, teeth are an issue in the medieval era, and they become an issue very strongly with the arrival of sugar. And in Flemish art, in which there are lots of smiling portraits, there's a suggestion that the open-mouthed smile is indicating speech and sometimes indicating age. There are wonderful paintings, Lucas Cranach and so on, where the sitter is opening their mouth to show either rather beautiful flashy white teeth, in which case they're showing their teeth off, or they're showing the crumbling teeth like a faltering, falling skyline. Most smiles closed.
Professor Colin Jones feels there's one portrait in particular that has great significance in the history of the toothy smile we know today. Self-portrait in a turban with her child by the French court painter Elizabeth Louise Vigée-Lebrun, painted in 1786 and first shown a year later at the Louvre, where it still remains.
It really crystallises a change which has probably been going on in the previous years about the meaning of the smile with an open mouth showing teeth is. She's sitting in a very sort of casual way with her rather beautiful child on her lap, looking directly at the viewer with a very charming smile, and she's showing white teeth. It provokes quite a storm. There are people who write in about this and say, this is quite radical, it's quite disgraceful that she's showing herself in this way. By focusing on the smile, I think we've definitely got something which is changing. It's something which is a very significant moment, I think, in the representation of the smile in Western art. But it also is flagging up a change in the way that people think about the relationship between their smile and their basic identity.
Vigée-Lebrun is not the first by any means. What she is, however, is the first to make a real style of it.
What is also interesting about this smile is that it's flagging up Madame Vigée-Lebrun is a woman who can afford a dentist. She could act as almost like an advertisement for some of these Parisian dentists who are seen as Europe's greatest practitioners in the 18th century, or for the tooth powders or pastes and toothbrushes which are emerging precisely at this time.
7.6 The History of the Smile. Part 2.
The greatest single factor governing the development of modern smiling habits, apart from dentistry, was the invention of photography and, in due course, the invention of motion picture photography.
The emergence of Hollywood studio shots, where the smile is seen as something which is absolutely vital to the person's charisma. It's really in the late 19th and definitely much more in the 20th century that the idea comes forward that the informal shot, which can be picked up by instant photography, becomes a way in which individuals can register their individuality.
We have our photographs taken all the time, weddings, Christmas, holidays, but it's actually quite difficult to get that perfect natural smile. So to find out how to look good on camera, I'm here in a photography studio in North London to meet the photographer Olivia Mann, and we're going on a mission for the perfect natural smile.
Yeah, great. That's fantastic.
So Olivia, you specialise in wedding photography, and when you're out there photographing the wedding, how do couples feel about smiling on their wedding day?
I have brides coming to me and saying, oh, I'm really worried about my crow's feet, and if I smile too much, then that's going to make me look awful. What is actually a nightmare for me is that if someone is worrying about their crow's feet, then what they tend to do is tighten up and clench all their facial muscles, so they actually look quite scary, which is the last thing you want in your wedding photographs.
So, Olivia, I can't put it off any longer. I'm going to have my photograph taken. What would you do to get me to make that perfect natural smile?
What I want you to do is just sit there for a moment and just start relaxing everything. Here, first of all, your forehead. Everyone holds a lot of tension in their forehead. Really relax the muscles around your eyes and your cheekbones, and just let your lips fall open. If you could just imagine a moment in your life where you felt particularly happy, confident and attractive.
I'm in Italy, in a little village by the sea, and having a large plate of pasta, and it's beautiful weather, and I'm with friends, and it's just a wonderful evening.
So now I want you to hold on to all of those feelings, but you're now in the studio and you're ready to be photographed. So open your eyes and let's go. That's absolutely lovely. And just drop your chin a tiny touch. Yeah, that's the shot. That's lovely.
Oh, I'd love to see it. So, can I have a look? Oh, that's great. That's fabulous. I love it. So there's me thinking of Italy. I think I'm going to try this from now onwards. Every time I have to have my photograph taken, I'm going to start thinking about eating pasta in Italy by the sea.
7.7 The History of the Smile. Part 3.
The profound transformation of whole societies by what can be achieved now in the dentist's chair is giving rise to completely new attitudes about what is beautiful and what is acceptable and what is desirable in our smile. So in a way, the medical and the cultural are travelling in parallel.
One man who has our smiles literally in his hands is dentist Martin Fallowfield. So is there such a thing as the perfect smile?
There are those who argue that the perfect smile is an imperfect smile. The very, very best technicians will be building in tiny irregularities when they're building a full mouth smile. This wall-to-wall symmetrical dentistry that we're seeing actually doesn't look that good.
So what's the future for our smiles? Bigger, whiter, wider? Angus Trumbull.
If you look at the difference between Rita Hayworth and Julia Roberts, it is impossible not to be startled by an amplification. The dial on the meter marked smiling is being turned up, and there's no reason to suppose that it will stop being turned up. It will get bigger, possibly fiercer, certainly whiter, and possibly even broader.
So one day we might be like the Cheshire Cat, big and smiley and the grin remains.
Yes, and in that situation, a solemn or sombre person may strike us as not just bizarre, but mad.
7.8 Phrasal verbs with on and off. 1.
You look tired.
Well, I carried on reading that book till 2 in the morning. It was such a page-turner, I just had to find out how it ended.
2.
Oh no, I feel like I've heard this lecture before.
I know. It is dragging on a bit, isn't it? His voice is so monotonous too.
3.
I finally managed to get away from Alan. He was going on and on about his new phone.
I know. He's been wanting one of those for ages, though, so he's obviously excited about it.
4.
Are you going to the school sports day?
Of course I am. Sally might not win her race if I'm not there to cheer her on.
5.
I think there's a chance I'll get let off for speeding if I tell them I was late for a really important medical appointment.
Oh, yeah, dream on. You think they haven't heard that one before?
6.
Well, I guess we'd better crack on.
Absolutely. It's nearly 3 o'clock and we're only halfway through.
7.9. Phrasal verbs with on and off. 1,
Oh, it was such a drag that your barbecue got rained off. I was really looking forward to it.
2,
These drugs really help my migraines, but they wear off after about 4 hours, and I don't want to keep taking more of them.
3,
About a third of our workers were laid off in the company restructure.
4,
I can't believe Denise has broken off her engagement. She seems so keen on Jason.
5,
The fire service strike was called off at the last minute after industrial negotiations.
6,
I went off meat for a while after visiting a factory farm on our school trip. It's enough to put anyone off.
7.10. Phrasal verbs with on and off. 1,
So there isn't going to be a train strike now?
No, it's been called off.
2,
A lot of people are eating quinoa now, aren't they?
Yes, it really seems to have caught on.
3,
These painkillers don't work for very long, do they?
No, they wear off after about 3 hours.
4,
I thought you liked blue cheese.
I did, but I've gone off it.
5,
Do you fancy a cup of tea?
Yes, I'll put the kettle on.
6,
When does the heating start working?
It comes on at 9 o'clock.
7,
Was it too wet to finish your tennis match?
Yes, it got rained off.
8,
How come you lost your job?
I got laid off.
9,
Are you taking Susie to the airport?
Yes, I'm going to see her off.
10,
Have you still not written that essay?
No, I keep putting it off.
11,
Oh, I thought that lecture would never end. It was so dull.
Yes, it did drag on a bit.
12,
Why can't you drive down the high street? Is it because of that awful traffic accident?
Yes, the police have sealed off the area.
7.11. Responses to bad news. 1,
I can't believe I missed that penalty.
Never mind. It could be worse. At least we're still winning.
7.12. Responses to bad news. 1,
The bank won't lend me any more money. I wish I'd never started my own business.
Oh, cheer up. I'm sure it'll all work out all right in the end.
2,
I'm so disappointed I didn't get the contract for that stadium. They've given it to another firm of architects.
Oh, you can't win 'em all, and you could always get a job with the other firm. If you can't beat 'em, join 'em.
3,
I don't think I'm ever going to make it as an actor. I failed another audition this morning.
It's not the end of the world. Hang on in there and stay positive.
4,
Oh, I can't believe what I've done. I sent an email moaning about my boss to her by mistake.
Don't dwell on it. What's done is done, and it'll all be forgotten in a few days.
5,
I just had the plaster taken off my leg, and now I've broken one of my fingers.
Keep your chin up. Someday you'll look back on all this and laugh.
6.
We'll have to be more careful. We spent most of that lottery money already.
Ah, well, easy come, easy go. It was good while it lasted.
7.
If only I'd never asked Lucy out. She said no, and it's really awkward working with her now.
You'll soon get over it. And at least you tried. You know, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
8.
I'm still gutted about being made redundant.
Perhaps it's for the best. You never did like that job. It might turn out to be a blessing in disguise.
7.13.
Dear Tom, I won't ask how you are. I remember all too well. I know life's no picnic right now, and all in all, you haven't exactly had an easy start in life. My main advice is to stop wishing it had all been different. If it had, then you'd be different too. And, hard as it is to believe, you're actually just fine as you are. In fact, it's the difficult experiences you've had that will give you the strength and insight to make the most of the wonderful opportunities that are coming your way. Not that it's all a bed of roses from here on. There'll be no end of disappointments, but oh, if only you could realize that they're not as devastating as they seem. You get so upset when things don't go the way you think they need to. But hey, what gave you the idea that you know the best script for your life story? I've never worked out who or what writes the script, or indeed if there really is one. But looking back, it does all seem to work out pretty neatly. For example, I know it's a stretch to believe this right now, but you will get over Sarah dumping you. I know you think she's your one and only, and yes, she is lovely and drop-dead gorgeous, and the heartache won't let up for quite some time. But boy, wait till you see who comes along later. I won't spoil it for you, but I promise you'll find it was well worth the angst-filled wait. One tip. Shave off that ridiculous tash now. She'll admit later that it nearly put her off you. You'll make a few false starts with career choices, but I'm not going to help you avoid them. If you did, you might not appreciate just how lucky you are to have the job you'll wind up doing. Well, okay, maybe you could quit the job packing frozen chickens a bit sooner. It'll all get better once you stop agonizing over what everyone thinks of you. Look, your real friends will always think generously of you. As for the others, truth be told, most of them are too busy fretting about themselves to give you much thought. It's how you feel about yourself that counts. And well, I am you, and I certainly feel a lot of affection for you as I write this. Lots and lots of love. Tom. P.S. Find out what 10 to the power of 100 is called, and when a company with a name that sounds like that appears, buy a few shares in it.